Hi all, Mike Shenley here. So I've got a simple little project here called a ring bearer box. My wife is a minister and basically I get asked to do projects for weddings all the time. So this is a real simple one. It's a single bit. There's no joinery to speak of. Basically the hinges are the only joints that we're using and we're drilling holes for them, not anything else. So we're setting up the window to be 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches here and 5/8 of an inch thick. Now we're going to go pick out a heart from the 2D vectors section here. And it's on the next window below. Here we go. Just drag it in, double click, whatever you prefer. And it's kind of oversized, so you have to grow the window and zoom back down to it. We're going to go ahead and select the heart, resize it to 3 inches. That gives us about 1/4 of an inch all the way around of our 3.5 inch box here. Okay, so next we're going to put in a couple circles. Before we draw the circles, let's take a look at the hinges that we're going to be putting into these circles. They're made by Soss, S-O-S-S, and are beautiful brass hinges that go great with curved areas like the lobes of our heart box. As we show the next screen, you'll see the smallest size is 8.2 millimeters, or about 1/3 of an inch, which is plenty strong enough for this box. However, the design of the 8.2 millimeter uses a pair of external set screws, whereas the 10 millimeter uses a single internal set screw. That difference makes the 10 millimeter a much better choice overall. So let's focus on part number BH104 and look at column A for the diameter of the hinge. For those that aren't comfortable with metric, just think that they're roughly 25 millimeters to an inch. And since we're going with a 10 millimeter hinge, that's 2/5 of an inch, or 0.4 inches. It actually converts to 0.39 inches to be exact. So column B is a depth, which is 11.5 millimeters, or 0.45 inches. And the last column we need is E, which is the gap needed between the two pieces of wood for the hinge to operate correctly. In this case, we need a gap of 1.8 millimeters, or 0.071 inches, from the edge of the barrel hinge to the edge of the wood. The gap can be narrower without causing any real issue, but any wider and the hinges cannot open because the wood cannot slide past, preventing the hinge from moving. So here's a quick engineering diagram that comes with the hinges. You can see on the far right is where our 10 millimeter dimension comes from. If you look in the middle, you'll see the 11.5 millimeter depth. And at the far left, you'll see the 1.8 millimeter offset that we talked about. And while we're looking at this engineering diagram, let's talk about a couple fudge factors I have to apply here. So the 0.39 inches for the circle diameter at 0.45 inches deep and an offset from the edge of 0.071 inches. However, if I drilled that or pocket a hole at 0.39 inches diameter, the hinges cannot be pressed into the wood. For my particular CNC, the best fit is when I set the hole diameter to 0.413 inches. And yes, that last 3 in 0.413 does make enough of a difference that is worth using. That results in a tight-fitting hinge that can be pressed in with moderate finger pressure and extracted without tools. As mentioned previously, the hinges tighten with a small Phillips set screw, and I haven't had one loosen since I started using them in 2018. We'll fudge the depth a little bit from 0.45 to 0.475 to accommodate the stray speck of sawdust, as well as give us a tiny bit of adjustment if we need to close a gap between the wood for whatever reason. And back to that clearance gap of 1.8 millimeters, or 0.071 inches, to the edge to allow the box to open correctly. The simplest way to make this offset is with another circle around the circle for the hinge. So our hinge circle has a diameter of 0.413 inches instead of 0.39 inches. And we need to add 0.71 inches to the radius to allow our hinge to operate correctly. Notice I mixed diameter and radius. So we actually need a circle with a diameter of 0.413 plus 2 times 0.071, which is 0.55 inches. Again, the little fudge factor for a great fit is to add 4 thousandths to this for a circle diameter of 0.559 inches. This is all just from using them, not any specific math that's being applied. So sorry to kind of throw that at you, it's just how it works best. Thanks. And back to the drawing of our heart here. We're going to draw the 2 circles that we need. The first one is 0.413 inches for the diameter of the barrel hinge, and the second one is going to be 0.559 inches for the offset to the edge of the heart. And now that we've created these 2 circles, we're going to group them and then align them with the very top of the heart, right up at the lobe. So we're going to go ahead and move those by selecting both and then hitting the correct function here to align them. And then we need to zoom in and actually move the circle into the direct spot of the highest part of the lobe. It's a little tough to describe it. You kind of have to just visually watch what's going on here. So I've actually picked the center part of the lobe here just by moving the cursor to it, and then I move the circle to the middle of that cursor. So again, kind of a painful thing, but it's not too bad once you figure out how to do it. And now that we have it precisely aligned, all we need to do is zoom out, look at the entire heart, pick the circle, and then mirror it to the opposite side. And we want to mirror that around the center of the heart. So there we go. That's all that we need to do for drawing of this entire thing. The rest of it is all just done in the toolpaths. So we're just going to ungroup the circles and then move over to the toolpaths. First we'll go ahead and save the file off since we're done with one phase of it. And then once we're over in the toolpaths, all we need to do is select the two inner circles for our barrel hinges. Open up the pocket toolpath. Set the depth to 0.475 inches, which is our little offset beyond the 0.45 inches. Okay, and now we're just going to go ahead and change a couple of settings on the tools. We're going to set the depth to 0.08 and give it a new name. Then we'll go up and change to offset, and then we'll change the distance of the ramp and plunge. And now we're going to go ahead and set the depth of the heart portion of the box. So we've already got the barrel hinges selected. Now we're selecting the heart, and we're going to set the depth of that. It's going to go to Z minus 0.25 inches. Basically, we're leaving a quarter of an inch at the bottom of the box. And then this setting is to keep a quarter of an inch around the edge of the box. And give it a quick name, calculate. And close that off, and now we're going to go ahead and cut out the box. So we've selected the heart. We're going to do a profile, change the depth to Z plus 0.01 inches, and put a ramp on it. We'll go ahead and give the toolpath a name. Save that off, respond to the depth notification, and then resize the window and preview it. We'll go ahead and set it to ISO view and then take a look. Here comes the hinges and the heart and then the cutout. Alright, all looks good. Give a quick little twist here and I think we're all done. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate the time.